Okay, so do you want to start? I've obviously done a little intro for you, but tell us more about you in your own words, and also tell us about not going to uni as a platform. What is it?
Cool. Yeah. So, hello everyone. Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, I think a good place to start is kind of where you've already started. But ultimately, I am currently an apprentice at the moment. I'm here in our office today at a company called Accolade Wines, who are one of the UK and the world's biggest wine producers and distributors. And I work in their digital marketing team, working on e-commerce and social media and all of that stuff. Um, and when I turned 18, I kind of realized that a lot of people weren't having the right conversations they were meant to be having in school about apprenticeships, about what to do next if university isn't really the right route for you. Um, so I decided that I was going to start my own podcast, which I did for about 2 years, interviewing other apprentices and chatting to myself just about my experiences and stuff like that. And ultimately, that then, sorry, I should step back. At the same time, I'd also been invited to become an ambassador of Not Going to Uni, a platform I had used when looking for my apprenticeships as well. And then because of my podcast experience, they asked me to come along and host their podcast for them instead. So that's kind of why I'm here talking to you today on behalf of Not Going to Uni, which is at its core a platform which is a jobs board for all things non-university post standard education. So things like internships, degree apprenticeships, higher and advanced apprenticeships, gap year opportunities, entry level jobs, anything that you can think of post college or sixth form that isn't university. Not Going to Uni is going to be promoting it. And then also alongside that, the real benefit of Not Going to Uni outside of just the platform is the content that you get from its ambassadors. So there are something like 100 ambassadors that Not Going to Uni has across so many different levels of apprenticeship sectors, job types, everything that you can think of that's on the website. There typically is an ambassador for that as well. And they create content on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. They write blogs on the website. We go to live events. We do webinars and stuff like this, all kind of promoting the site and a place for you to go, not just for your jobs and your opportunities post school, but also your advice. And it's a really good way to learn about what being an apprentice is really like, because you're getting it straight from the horse's mouth.
Love that. I mean, if that's not a good, I guess, comprehensive overview of what the alternative options are to uni, then I don't know what is. Okay, so don't worry, everyone, as well. Like, we do have a speaker coming on later who is going to defend university and, champion that cause. But while you have the floor, tell me why young people should consider not going to uni. And I don't mean the platform, I mean the general concept.
Yeah, that's part of the difficulty with it being called that, is it can sometimes get a little bit confusing. But I think it's important for me to say when I get here that I'm not totally anti-uni. I think the first thing to say is that university in my mind has its place. I think that if you're after a certain lifestyle, university is perfect. If you're after certain career choices in the future, university is almost imperative for some of those. I'm obviously going to talk about my experience having not gone to uni and defend that, but ultimately I'm not 100% against uni. I understand that it does have its place. But I think when it comes to jobs that you have the option not to go to university, the benefits really come in three camps. And that number one is you don't get any debt, which I know that is a big selling point. And actually, if you speak to a lot of people, they'll go, oh, but it doesn't even matter because, you're never even going to pay it all back anyway. But just the fact that not having that debt looming over your head is just a stress that you can completely forget about. Those who go to university for the rest of their working life will just have to remember that a small portion of their income every month is going towards paying for that degree. And everyone else not doing apprenticeships isn't going to have that worry. The second one is not only are you not in debt, you're actually getting paid to learn. Especially in apprenticeships and some internships, and again, entry level jobs, obviously, you're taking home a salary and learning at the same time. And the third one is you go to get a degree at university. sorry, fire alarm test in the office. I don't know whether you heard that.
I hear it, don't worry.
Okay, fine, no worries. So, what was I saying? Yeah. So, although you will be learning from a book, in an apprenticeship, an entry level job, an internship, you're also getting real life hands on experience, which is ultimately where most of your learning comes from anyway. You're going to be getting much more valuable learning from that than you can from a book. So yeah, those are kind of my top three reasons why you wouldn't really want to go to uni if you didn't have the choice. Like I said, university obviously still has its place.
I think that is a very diplomatic answer, first of all, and also three very compelling reasons. I mean, logical. And you obviously are a creative apprentice, like that is kind of your role in the business. Do
Yeah.
you think, I guess, not going to university is a good option for a lot of creative people or people that have creative ambitions?
100%, 100%. I think that again, it does have its place if you were looking at some areas of the creative industries. But there are some which university is very, there's no way to get around it. University is very academic. It's a hell of a lot of writing. It's a hell of a lot of reading. And typically, I think that, especially with people within the creative industries, I found that a lot of their energy goes into this creative side of their brain that maybe the academic side isn't the strongest. That's obviously a massive stereotype, and that there's people out there who are incredibly creative and incredibly academically driven. But just looking at the industries in which I work in, so university in its core might be quite difficult, and doing it, learning on the job, having hands-on experience, much like, you're never going to learn a guitar reading it from a book. You've got to have your hands on learning how to play it. You're never going to become the world's greatest actor if you're reading just from a script and never actually acting it out. There's something about creativity and creative industries which is inherently hands on. So why wouldn't you take that into like the foundations of your career in those spaces?
Yes, absolutely. And I think it is worth pointing out that not all universities are purely academic. Lots of them do have really strong connections to industry. They have industry partnerships where you can really get practical experience, hands-on. But I think to what you're saying, if you are going down or pursuing a career that is more practically minded, regardless of whether you're considering university or an apprenticeship or going straight to work, if practical skills are at the forefront of what you're doing, that's what you need to keep in mind
100%.
in terms of where you're going or what you're going to do next. Okay, so tell us about your own experience as an apprentice. Like, what have you learned? Like, what is learning on the job like? Like that's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Again, I'm one of these people who's never enjoyed learning from a book. I'm not the strongest of readers. I'm not the strongest of writers. Learning on the job was really, really important for me. So I came into the business in September 2022, so 2.5 years ago now. And other than a very basic understanding of marketing from A-level business, had no idea of what marketing was or what digital marketing was or what the day-to-day of a digital marketer looked like. And from there, fast forwarding 2.5 years to today, I am not just running social media across like 10 or 11 brands globally, but also working on the creative side of the campaigns, also working on the strategy behind it, also working on the e-commerce, which goes alongside it. So all of these skills, which, yes, have come up in my university course, but I can look at, an image and go, theoretically, that looks like it's going to do well. But you have no idea until you put it into the real world. And that's the benefit of real world learning, is I now have hands-on experience. I now have learnings which I can take from things which I have done, which can help me going forwards, not just in finishing my degree this year, but then also going forward and progressing within the corporate ladder through jobs, through companies, etc. But yeah, I found learning on the job super difficult to begin with, not just because I felt like I wasn't absorbing everything, but because when you first start, I found it really overwhelming. Not only was I having to learn people's names, how the business worked, how all the systems we used internally worked, but also like how to write a good business email and how to budget effectively, and all of these things which like are just part of learning a job in general, but then also learning because you have never done them before, let alone in this company. So it's definitely a skill you have to learn. Ironically, learning on the job, it's something which you have to hone to make sure you're getting the full benefit from everything, making sure you're almost like squeezing the sponge dry day to day from what you can pull out of your job. But for me, it works a million times better than reading for a book, because I can draw on my own experience to help me when I have to recall rather than trying to, picture words on a page.
Absolutely. And it definitely sounds like it pushes you outside of your comfort zone, further into that business world. And, it's soft skills like sending an email and not thinking about the way you phrased everything 5,000 times, just getting it like that kind of stuff does hinder a lot of people when they enter the workplace. And so getting that kind of soft skill building out the way early, like that's really beneficial. It'll make you a lot more hireable as well, won't it?
100%, 100%. I think that every skill you pick up early on in like the corporate world or in any skill that you can pick up early on, which is like not 100% specific to that job in that company, is going to make you immediately more hireable. Like you said, whether it be emails or budgeting or like even something specific as like something really like technical in like the music industry, obviously that's a skill you're going to have to take forward. But as soon as you learn it, you're infinitely more hireable than you were 10 minutes before you learn it.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, you started building your skills even before working for, you were building podcasts in your own room and stuff like that, so I think there's a lot that someone could take away watching. They could take so much away from that as a kind of recommendation. Get started early. Don't wait for permission from someone to go and build those skills. You don't have to go to uni. You don't have to even go for an apprenticeship. You can just start doing stuff on your own terms.
100%, 100%. And I wouldn't be scared of that either. I think that I've always seen my 20s and my late teens as my perfect window for failure. I think that I'm in a position where like I've not got to particularly worry about moving out of home yet. I've not got to particularly worry about paying loads of bills, which obviously isn't the spot that everybody is in, but I'm very lucky to be in that spot. So if I did really want to go and try something now, I have infinite time for it to fail, because I've not got to worry about those things. So I wouldn't be worried about doing that, because ultimately your skills are going to grow, but also like you don't learn unless you fail. That's what they say, isn't it? So like use this time now to fail as much as possible, so that when you get to when it really matters, you've got the skills, you've got the learnings.
I would absolutely back that. I think what a great note to end on. Ethan, thank you so much for joining us. We've learned so much about just the general concept of not going to uni and the business.